Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Niall Bayer from Financial Time Traveler, here to bring in the 2017 with practicality on the smart way to achieve your goals. All right, everybody, all my financial time travelers out there, who's ready to time travel with their goals? Now, I hear a lot of people who come up to me, they ask me questions about how they're going to achieve their goals in this next year, whatever 365, year to date, whatever you want to start it with. It doesn't have to happen with the calendar year. I hope that's not prompting you to get more ambitious, but if it is, all the more power to you. But a lot of times I hear people say, Niall, I want to earn more money. I want to save more money. I want to lose weight. I want to add weight. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to, etc. Very vague topics of what they want to achieve, which is awesome. However, they are not specific goals. And I like to break it down using a system called the S.M.A.R.T acronym, S.M.A.R.T. All those letters stand for something extremely powerful. And it's a life hack that I have used to help me achieve my goals, to make me kind of cross-check and reference. Is this something that I can actually achieve? Or is this something that's a little too broad, a little too vague? I'm not going to be able to measure my success and to be able to understand whether or not I've crossed the thresholds that I need to cross to be able to get to the promised land. So let's get right into it, starting with the letter S. Now, the letter S, it stands for specific. Now, this means that your goals should not be vague. Something that I want to get my name out more. If you're an artist and musician, that is not a goal. That's an ambition, entirely different. A goal looks something like, I want to make X amount of dollars. I want to reach X amount of people. I want to do X amount of shows. I want to have X amount of relationships built in this specific community, in this specific lane. So making your goals smart and specific is what's going to help you be able to achieve them in a measurable way. So be as specific as possible. In the sales world, we call it niche down. Be very niche specific on what your product is and who you want to reach, so that it's much easier to target them. When we talk in general amounts, it's very hard to hold yourself accountable and have other people hold you accountable. So let's get very specific on what we want to achieve. Start with what it is, how it is, why it is, and how it's going to affect your life and make it better. When you write that down, it becomes very clear on how you specifically want to reach that end result. Let's move into M. M stands for measurable. So this is where you set out your goals. If you wanted to lose weight, for instance, how much weight do you want to lose? Is it 10 pounds? Is it 4 pounds? Is it 18 pounds? Something that will help you along the way, which is incredibly useful, is journaling. A lot of people scoff at the fact that they need to write down what they've achieved today, but it does a great job for you to be able to look back. You might need to just do it once a week. What did you do this week to go towards your goals? What numbers did you hit? And how are you tracking that measurement of where you're trying to end up? So having your goal written down so that you can measure it in a very specific way is very helpful when you're trying to achieve something that is bigger than you've ever achieved before. So when you have these massive goals, you made them specific. Now you want to make sure that they're measurable, and you're keeping track of yourself to make sure that you're holding yourself accountable. Now that brings us to the letter A. All right, so A stands for attainable or achievable, depending on the variation of the S.M.A.R.T acronym that you're going for. Either way, they represent and symbolize the exact same thing, and that's that you're not making a goal that is ridiculously unachievable in the next 100 days or even 365 days. For instance, saying, I'm going to change the world. Great, what does that mean? Or I'm going to create the next electric car. I'm going to create the next Tesla in the next year. That's not attainable, it's not achievable, it's be realistic. That's a 10-year overnight sensation. So you need to make something that is practical, something that is like, I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 100 days following this regimen from this person that I found on whatever resource website, or I want to change my transmission, or I want to get this certification by following this class course schedule, etc., etc. How are you going to reach your goal? Is it attainable? Now, another very key distinction in this part of the acronym in attaining and achieving your goals is to make sure that you're committed towards this goal. Whatever it is, you're doubling down on every single variable that you need to make sure that you are capturing every element that you need possibly to make sure that you come out on top at the end. When you look back and you see that journal and say, I did it because I was totally committed to this goal, you can only commit to something if you know all the variables. So be very specific and make sure that your goal is attainable. If it's too vague, then you're committing to something that you don't even know the specifics on. So make sure that you're very detailed and that you can achieve this. It's very practical. And that brings us to R. So R stands for relevant. This is extremely important when it comes to this acronym. I know everybody likes acronyms. They can get corny sometimes, but this one's powerful. So relevant, does it actually matter? Did it make an impact on your life? Is it something timing-wise that just makes perfect sense for why this goal is fitting into your life at this time? Or is it something that maybe you should set aside and focus on in year 5? Is this year 3 into your goal? Is it year 1? A lot of people have goals that are going to take multiple levels and multiple layers to be able to get there, and they want to put the fun layer first instead of knowing that they need to be patient and work towards that layer before they can be rapidly impatient and execute in that final year's time of that goal making and achieving. So with this last section, I'm sorry, it's not the last section, but with the second to last, in relevant, you want to make sure that this means something to you. It made an impact on my life this year in helping me achieve that goal, and it makes sense. If it doesn't, you might have to revisit the whole thing. But that gets into our last section. Stay with me now. And T. Now T is the last, and it stands for time bound. Now this is all about practicality and accountability. So when you write down your steps, you're going to make sure that you're able to achieve them at a deadline. You're giving yourself this much time to achieve these goals, and you're breaking them down into smaller steps. You have this big goal, it's very specific, but you want to reverse engineer it to where you are today and what you need to do in small amounts of time. So when you start achieving those goals one by one, they start compounding on top of each other, the effects, and you start leveling up to the point where you finally achieve that master goal. It feels so overwhelming when you look at this huge goal that maybe I want to start this company, or I want to be the body shape that I want to be, or I want to spend this amount of time with someone who I've lost a relationship with. That can sound overwhelming, but when you break it down into specific, measurable, achievable, time-bound decisions that are relevant, it quickly lets you know that I can do this. And the time-bound part is the most important piece that helps you make sure that you're staying on track. Now, why is that? Because when you start to look for new ways in life that you want to grow, you're going to be leaving behind a past life that you once existed in, past relationships, past mentalities, past mindsets, past everything that you do you don't realize has an effect from your mindset. And when you start changing that, you're going to get resistance from the previous habits that you have and the previous relationships to those habits. Now that you've changed your thoughts, you've put them into words, and you've manipulated them into actions, the reverse is going to happen with your peers as well. And so that day-to-day grind, it could be your work office starts seeing things different. They want to make sure you're working in this one way where they can control you, or relationships, or your friendships, or your family. All those things are going to provide resistance at a certain point. If they're not doing it now, when you get closer to your goal, it's definitely going to happen, and something that I personally struggle with in being able to provide that work-life balance. And so having these time-bound goals sets you up to where you know, okay, I haven't achieved this goal, or I have because of these things. This is working really well, and this is getting in my way and plugging my holes where I cannot get to where I need to go and maneuver through life to achieve my goals. So the time bound is all about making sure that you have a deadline for what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it. Now, journals thrive in this environment. If you're not a writer, take voice notes. Me, I use Evernote every single day on my phone. It's synced to my Dropbox so that I never lose anything. It's on my desktop. It's on all my phones, my tablets, my laptops. It's everywhere because I'm constantly writing down notes. If I'm not writing it on my phone, I'm writing it on paper. I'm taking a picture of it on my phone. It's scanning it to Evernote, making a searchable PDF out of it. I'm adding it to the workbook that is my S.M.A.R.T, whichever category it fits in. Believe it or not, I do this, and it is incredibly powerful to make sure that I'm time traveling with my goals and achieving them at a faster rate. Now that's going to wrap it up for the SMART goals. S.M.A.R.T, very powerful. If you haven't heard it before, I'm so glad that I was able to introduce it for you or to you, because I know it's going to provide such a powerful resource. So if you would like more of this, make sure to financialtimetraveler.com. Go there to our URL. It's going to be on the blog. You know what? As of now, I'm going to make a special URL. It's financialtimetraveler.com/SMART. And I'm going to break down this exact list. I'm going to break it down to a PDF. If you want it, just enter in your email. I'm going to send it right to you, and we can start keeping on track with each other. Tell me what your goal is, and I want to help you achieve that goal at a faster rate. All right, until next time, just remember, I'm Niall Bayer, coming at you live from Financial Time Traveler, here to help you achieve your goals at a faster rate, because decisions today change tomorrow's.
What goals once did, technology now does better.
Right. And I think the most important statistic that we brought out that you've discovered is, on a long-term basis, it has historically
There's
not
a problem, I
been
think,
a
with
good investment.
401ks and how they're structured. And then there's a problem with how I think that businesses are doing, for the most part, the absolute minimum that they need to do to ensure financial wellness.
All right.
And we can get into that. And then the problem with financial freedom.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Eagle has landed. Roger, we copy you.